Hello everyone, my name is Mason. Welcome to episode 5 of my City Skylines series. Now in some of my previous videos I've complained about how this game performs on my computer. I'm sure you're getting tired of that by now, but I want to let you know that I finally got some more RAM for my PC, and let me tell you, it has been amazing. This game used to take like 30-45 minutes to load up. I'd get out my phone and watch like 3, sometimes 4 YouTube videos while I'm waiting for this thing to load up, and it just loaded in 1 minute 30 seconds. It's such a huge improvement. It's been absolutely amazing. So this here is a part of the world that you've been to, but it's not very familiar to you because it's changed a lot. Let's go to somewhere where you'll know. This over here is one of my newer developments in the game. We talked about it in the last video. I talked about my big long highway going down up this steep hill. And I believe we talked about the roundabouts specifically a little bit. In the last video over here, I believe I just had a waste collection facility, and the road was kind of like an L shape. I added a roundabout over here. I've got 3 big main roads going through this area. Second roundabout down here. Looks like we're having some water issues. Let me go address that real quick. Put one of those water pumps here. Plumb it in. It should be good. Let's see if it fixes it. There it goes. Okay. This area up here, I believe, is mostly offices. Yeah, it's like 2/3 offices. This whole side is offices. This side is mostly housing. We got a little bit of office over here, and it's a lot more narrow, so there's probably less for sure. I spent a lot of time decorating this area over here, and I think it looks pretty nice. All these colorful trees and a couple service buildings put in there. Let's take some time to just admire it. There's a new cable car over here, and pathways for pedestrians to walk over, as well as car access back here to these parking lots that I've placed. Reminder that parking lots are not necessary. People have pocket cars, seemingly. They don't need parking. The cars just appear and disappear whenever people make it to their destination. This is an asset I've downloaded from the workshop. It doesn't really do much of anything. My bus service is very popular, as you can see. It's a big crowd of people waiting for this bus. Might need to look into that, see if maybe I should increase my frequency. More services popped into the little forest area. Elementary school, post office. I think it turned out pretty nice. Like this looks like a pleasant area to be in. The cable car is fairly popular, I believe. Yeah, 540 passengers served last week. That takes you from this developed area down the mountain over here to this sort of roundabout development that we talked about in the last episode. Though I think this might be new. I believe I talked about doing this change. It was like a roundabout on top of the highway, I think, and I converted it into a stack interchange. I might have done that in the last video. I'm not sure, but I believe I built this one by hand. I didn't use any assets or anything. Right where the cable car line drops you off, I've got some more parking, and it's next to these 2 big high schools. So anyone who lives up here gets to take the cable car down to go to the high school. Can you imagine the views going down this mountain. Like, that's gotta be a pretty nice commute to school. So this area right in here, the terrain is a little steep, and whenever I built things, it just didn't look right. So I ended up putting these kind of fun, like, organic looking paths through here for people to walk on, and I tried to arrange the trees in a way that looked nice, with the flowers in the middle and the little shrubs and then the bigger trees. It's a pretty popular little walkway, as you can see all the people on it. Not quite as popular as my park walkway that I'm charging people for, but it's pretty good. Over here I've got a subway entrance, and I'm using the trees and vegetation to kind of hide the terrain is messed up. You can still see it if you look closely, but I've tried my best to hide it. I'll let you take a look at some more of my paths. Nice little tree in the center. I tried to make it as symmetrical as I could so that it would look nice. I tried to do a different color of centerpiece tree in all of these. So this one's like a pink. I've got red ones in here. I've got a purple one here. And this one's the flowers over here. There's a big high school down here. This area is mostly shopping. So if you're somebody who lived up here, your life would be kind of like living in through here, and then you commute over here to go to work, or go down this way and like take the paths to this high school, or the cable car down to one of these two. And whenever you want to do some shopping, you'd go over here and visit these shops in this area. So beneath this gigantic cliff, I've got a tiny little development here. It's all residential, but I did it as like lower residential, like the small stuff. I just thought it'd be nice to have a quieter little suburban area where people can live up here, get a nice view of the ocean out this way. You want to be careful by this cliff though. There's not any sort of fencing or handrails up. There's an old abandoned lighthouse that you get to check out. Maybe someday that could be like a museum or something you visit. I know there's lots of people who like to climb lighthouses. That's a popular beach going thing, it seems. So I talked about having my airport over here in the last video. That obviously didn't happen, and I had placed the airport over here, but I later removed it. We can talk about that in a little while. This area over here, you're familiar with this part where I was building out my Highland College, the university. You haven't seen most of this up here. I believe it's mostly residential. Yeah, all of this through here is residential, and there's some offices over here, big school, and that connects up to this area. Kind of a main road that goes from like over here all the way down to here, and it splits up out that way. The road access to this area is not very good. This was originally the only way up here, and you can see it's very busy. It was red last time I checked on the traffic. Yes, it's still bright red. It's a very busy road, and this is still bad over here. There's this other little access that's better, but it's still pretty bad and leads to this interchange. We talked about it in the last video. We tried to see if we could improve it a little bit, and it got less bad, but it's certainly not good. Up here I added a roundabout. This originally just plopped right in here. I wanted to see if that would make it any better, and I don't think it really changed that much. The roundabout is so small that it barely works anyways. You can see it's like glitching, and you can see the grass through it. It's kind of messed up. I added another little way up here. This road is kind of wiggly. It goes down the mountainside. There's a tunnel here, and it goes into this area over here. So last time we talked, I just finished building a an amusement park in this area over here. And I was talking about building a zoo over here, I think I tried building out the zoo and it just wasn't very profitable, so I tore it all down and I put a stadium over here. I talked about making this an entertainment area and having like the zoo, the stadiums, and all that stuff over here. I just did one stadium and it seems to be doing reasonably well for itself. It looks like it's making me about 157,000 and only costing 18,000, so it's doing really well. I've had some traffic troubles because it's mostly quiet, but when a game lets out, there's like a sudden influx of traffic. So I built this sort of overpass to get over this main road and onto the interstate for the people who enjoy the sporting game. And if you want to go right, there's this little road that pops into a roundabout. This major road was not here the last time. It just this interchange just went right into the amusement park, and then it came right back out and just connected right back in there. So I built this major road connecting these two interstate interchanges and extending out this way for mostly offices in this area. I believe there's some housing. Yeah, this is housing and this is all offices around here. I have a little pathway up here that people are using to cross from this development over here, and another one down here that people are using to come over into this area. And most of those people seem to be taking this cable car up the mountain over to the college and these residences. I've been trying to incorporate more pedestrian paths into my developments. So I built this one when I noticed that there was no way for pedestrians to cross this, because this is all interstate and it doesn't have a sidewalk. And there's a little bit of sidewalk here, and then it stops again and it starts again, and pedestrians just can't get across there. So I built this one, and I thought I'd build another one over here to make it symmetrical. This roundabout up here, I'm using it to give more access to my development on top of this massive hill. Let's turn it daytime so you can see a little better. Okay. I added a little slip lane to get the right turn traffic off of the roundabout because this is very busy, and it still is pretty busy. Just to try and make this flow a little smoother. This whole road is bright red. It's not jammed though, it's just a lot of people are using it. And it leads to another roundabout up here. You can see this area is a little hard to develop because the terrain is kind of funky. It's not very good for building. I decided to go with the low density residential out here because I didn't really like that it was just one road to get out here that just dead ended, and I was worried about having a lot of people living back here. I wanted to minimize the traffic on this road. I really like how this road and this road form like a pretty smooth little curve. I find that to be satisfying. You can see the terrain's a little funky here too. The areas I saved for last on this map were all the ones that had not great terrain. There's a big park in the middle of this area that I really like. You can see a lot of people. They all seem to be going into this subway over here. I've had issues with this was originally connected here, and there was a bunch of roads coming off of here onto the main road, where every single one of them got really bad traffic. It was like super backed up. So I just got rid of them, and now everyone has to go out this way and take this roundabout, because they were all trying to go this way, from here out this way, and the left turn onto this road was causing a problem. So I've made them all take this roundabout, and that seems to have improved it a lot. I'm sure some of you have noticed this white track in through here. When I first developed this area on top of the hill, I'd built a monorail to connect where my airport used to be to sort of a park and ride facility over to this development and over to the college. I eventually tore it out when I added in the subway because it felt kind of redundant and it was costing me a lot of money, so I just gutted the whole thing pretty much. All of the stations are turned off. I don't think I actually destroyed any of them though. I believe they're all still in place. Yeah, they're all still there. I could turn it back on if I wanted to. Let's take a look at that park and ride facility I built over here. It's just a monorail station with some big parking lots and a bus stop to get over here as well. And it's right over here next to this development. I thought that maybe these people who live like right around here would walk over and get on here, but this station had really low ridership. Basically no one was using it. So this stuff over here, it's a pretty good mix of some shops and some offices. I've got a pathway for the pedestrians to walk because this roundabout is not usable for pedestrians. Making sure everyone's considered in my new design. A little pathway over here. This is where my airport used to be. That's why this whole area is on its own interchange, basically. I thought that the airport would have like a bunch of traffic and be super busy, so I wanted it to have a robust road network where it's like right off of the interstate, had its own exit and this one-way road kind of thing. A bus depot here. The airport was like right in here, and then there was a monorail and this walkway for people to get from the airport over to this area, which I designed as sort of a touristy area. I zoned this down as leisure, so it's got a bunch of like touristy stuff, I'm pretty sure. And I got this cool funky tower thing. There's hotels over here. And this big department store to attract some people. Again, I've got some really nice soft scaping. A pathway around here, some flowering trees. A lot of people walking through here, enjoying it. It connects up with the department store, though you don't really see very many people using this. Then there's a bridge over the train tracks over to this development. Since my roads are very clogged in some places, I'm trying to make as many alternatives as I can. So I've got a cargo train hub all the way up here. This track kind of curves around this way, following the interstate. This area over here has been difficult to manage traffic-wise because it's been very busy. Originally, it was just these two ways in here, and they all kept getting all jammed up with a big long line of traffic waiting to get in. So I put in a roundabout, and that helped a little bit. And I believe I made some of these roads, one way. So out this way is an exit to get these people right onto the highway, get them out as fast as I can. And then I put in another entrance and exit over here right onto the highway. It allows, you can do U-turns if you want, but people can get off the highway and go right into this development. It seems to be working pretty well now, I've got a lot of asymmetrical roads in this area to try and make turns as easy as I can. So since this way is mostly people entering, you'll notice I've got 2 lanes all the way down for people entering to try and make it easier for them to get in. To the touristy stuff, my idea was that people would arrive by plane and then they'd hang out in the hotels and spend their money over here at the leisure district. But I had to remove the airport because I was experiencing a death wave and my population was way down and I was losing money. I had to cut back on a bunch of services, and the airport is something that got cut. And I just didn't feel like it was that beneficial. So I just got rid of it permanently and expanded more offices and a little bit of residential into this area over here. I talked about this highway in the last video, but it's all new. It didn't exist at the time of the last video. Got a big roundabout interchange here, a T interchange here, and another T interchange up here. This looks like it would be really dangerous to drive on. Like, look at how steep that is, and some of this stuff over here, how bumpy that is. It'd probably damage your car. A lot of steep terrain that was not very easy to develop. I made this outer edge of this development into a big main road. I think it looks a little nicer, but there's like nobody driving here. It's mostly empty road. So if you want to do some drag racing, I think this would be a pretty decent spot. Like, it's the curves are not very sharp, they're very gradual, and the road is like entirely empty. Though this early section, I believe there are some pedestrians that, yeah, there are some pedestrians that use it. Just people walking on this empty road. I wonder if this would feel kind of like a liminal space if you're here walking as a pedestrian. And then it just goes around here and it loops. The terrain over here was kind of funky, but I managed to find like a little spot here and here I could develop. So I put some small stuff in here, a little, I don't know if this would be considered a suburb or an exurb. There's just a small little area off of this development over here. And I added this service road in for a waste transfer facility. These should be working better now. I downloaded a mod that is supposed to optimize how vehicles move around, and it's supposed to keep them inside of the districts whenever it can, and prevent vehicles from going like all the way across the map for one random pickup. It makes districts a little more useful because they didn't really have that big of a purpose. I mean, they let you set policies, but like those don't really do anything spectacular. So it seems to be working a little better, though my city is still struggling with a lot of vehicle deliveries. This empty area here I had planned to make into more industrial, but I haven't filled that out. I'll put in a little more now. Though my city doesn't really have that big of a demand for industrial, I don't think. Maybe people just want jobs, because I've got a lot of this sort of orange color. I mostly do offices since my people are fairly educated. Put in some of those over here. And then they're gonna want to park, so let me put down one of those. Okay. So on the other side of this interchange, I've got this kind of liver-shaped area that's mostly residential. This area in the middle here was, again, another place where the terrain was kind of funky. So I just put in a bunch of small houses. I thought that since they were small, maybe it wouldn't mess up the terrain as much. And I've got some nice pathways providing people with access around this area. And the same over here on the other side. Let's turn it back to day again so you can see a little easier. Oh, it's almost day, I think. If I just waited a little longer. So this area is mostly residential and offices, except for right around here. I've got a residential over here with a big school, some extra pathways to give people lots of access to move around. Offices in through here. This is my shopping area. Offices, residential. So I put this shopping stuff right by where my subway station is, and I spent some time decorating it. I think it looks pretty nice. So let's take a look down at this. Here's the subway entrance. I've got two big old trees, some smaller trees. Not many people use these little horizontal paths, but I think it looks nice. It adds to the aesthetics. A nice line of trees, some flowering trees. I think this would be a fairly pleasant place to be. If we zoom back out, the sixth and final way to get up to this sort of mountain development area is right over here. This is really the second major way, because this one and this one are the biggest capacity ways to get up here. I had some trouble with cars building up here, so I added this little slip lane to try and get more of them, trying to give them a better angle to get onto this road a little faster. I elevated it due to the terrain. Got kind of a funky little bridge element right there. And this road winds all the way down the mountain into this funky looking stack interchange. It was difficult to fit into this space. I had to do some weird stuff, some strange curves going on, and some like twisty bits going on to make it fit. There's not a lot of space between this intersection and all this developed area. I tried to minimize the amount of developed stuff I needed to destroy. It's getting a little backed up here though. I see. Okay. It goes from 2 down to 1. That's my bad. I'm sure I didn't mean to do that. See if I can upgrade this stuff. There we go. That's probably what I meant to do and just forgot. Yeah, that looks like it's flowing better now. Even if they all choose to take this left lane, it does give them more room to merge around. It seems like they're mostly taking the left lane. Now, maybe the right side's picking up a little more. Gotta love that like 45-degree movement they do when changing lanes and how they cut off someone every single time. That's really nice. Another intersection I thought about changing is this one over here, because it constantly gets backed up, but I can't come up with anything better for this space. The steep mountain behind it, all this urban development in front of it, and the close proximity to this other interchange makes it difficult to fit anything in here. Yeah, and there's also like 4 main roads coming together. This one, this one, this one, and this one. This was a main road, and then I downgraded it, and when I did some work around here, and it kind of just dead-ended over here. And I recently reconnected it back up. I moved it. It has like a 45-degree curve now. It connects up over to this roundabout. I did have to demolish some offices around in this area, but I made this pretty nice area where my park bridge thing comes down. I got a wooded area right next to the subway exit. And a pathway, it's connected up pretty well to this other area. I've got a bus only road for the buses to get in here. Yeah, it just dead ended like right over here. And then there was this development extended out to like over here kinda. And connected in with this road. There's a bunch of traffic of people from this development trying to get over here. So they added this road, and it looks like not very busy now. I don't know what happened. Where'd all the traffic go? Yeah, despite being busy, this is flowing reasonably well, though the shipping cargo terminal does get a little backed up. Let's tell these people to not hold back from that intersection. I added this little road here, so if they want to get on the interstate, they can just get right on there and don't have to try and go through this roundabout and then the second roundabout and then through this diamond. No, they actually go out here if they wanted to go the way this road was putting them. And as you can see, a lot of people do use it. It does cut down on the busyness of this roundabout a little bit. I was wondering if maybe a dog bone would work better here that has 2 roundabouts. Like one here and then like another here. There's a lot of people getting backed up here. Alright, so I'm looking at the traffic flow. A lot of them are just, they're trying to go over here. But there are some going up this way. Maybe I could add a little lane coming off earlier to try and help people doing the right turn to avoid the roundabout. See, maybe I pop it in like right about here. And then have it come back over there-ish. And then I'll use my special tools to make it curved a little nicer. Oh my. That's better. The wall was like going through the road. Now let's get rid of these traffic lights. Just make this a yield for them. And I want to make sure that they are not making left turns. If you want to make a left, you can go back to that roundabout. Okay. That might help a little bit. In the last couple of videos, I've complained about a line of traffic over here. And I thought I fixed it, and then I turned out I didn't fix it, and I tried to fix it again, and it's been a whole situation. With that new mod I downloaded that lets you supposedly optimize the way deliveries are done, I changed it to limit the number of export vehicles that places are allowed to have, and it's still really busy, but it seems to be moving a lot better through here, though I think it's increased the amount of problems my areas face. Like, these ones are not finding enough buyers, and I don't think that was happening before I changed that. And I feel like it also increased the number of places that are struggling to get goods to sell, though I'm not completely certain there. I did some changes to the earliest area of the game. I went all the way back to my roots over here. This is where I started. It used to have kind of a frontage road design where there was the interstate and then another road out from it that was constantly connected to the interstate, and it was working fine. I didn't have any problems with it, but just for space reasons, I tore it out and came up with a narrower design that's got roundabouts and a bridge and a big long roundabout, a bridge, and a roundabout at the end. And I turned these into kind of main roads on the sides there. But that allowed me to put in a interchange here that I wouldn't have been able to fit otherwise. And I made a new interstate going out this way. I've got a really compact interchange over here. I think it turned out pretty well. I like how small it is and how well it all fits together, with a roundabout of sorts right in here, and then kind of a local road coming in here, tying into that roundabout and coming back down to here. This area here is a little busy though. You get cars backing up there sometimes, but it fits well into this area. It's very compact. The interstate continues over here and goes to a cargo ship harbor and a passenger ship harbor. This area is right over by where my forestry stuff was, and that big ring road development I did a video on is right over here too. I put in a roundabout so that I could connect it up to here. Without the roundabout, it was just a whole bunch of traffic, big line of cars, and this is flowing a lot better. To allow people to get from this area over to here, they have to make a right, go the wrong way, and then turn around over here. I did that because the line of waiting vehicles gets pretty big, and if I just let them like hop in here, it would probably be very chaotic and not flow very well. So they have to go this way, and then they can fall into the back of the line. There's not really anything I can do about this, I don't think. It's just the speed that this building operates at. You can see they're going in as fast as they can. There's really not anything I can do about that. And then the passenger one isn't usually very busy, but it gets like a sudden burst whenever a ship arrives, compared to this one that has just always got a line going. Another attempt I made to try and quell the traffic on the main roads, try and give people more options to get in and out of the city. I think that might be all I have for you today. Let me turn it to daytime so we can get a final look at the city. From its humble beginnings right over here, to a bunch of road spaghetti, to steep hilltop climbs, to failed ventures, to nicely decorated paths. I think this has been a pretty good city. The traffic is in the 80s, which is, it's okay, it's pretty good. I've done worse, I've also done better before. It's a decent city. Looking around this map, there's not a lot more developable land. all this stuff out here is really steep. Like, look at some of this stuff. How big this mountain is. How big that mountain is. All a bunch of rough terrain that's out here. Maybe I could fit like one street in here. I don't know how I'd connect that up well, or if I even could. I don't think there's any more land in this world that I can develop. So unfortunately, I think that might have to be the end of this City Skylines series. I think it's gone pretty well. I hope that you enjoyed it. See you all in the next one.